night.
Let's get dangerous.
Dangerous. How about
It's
that?
the Elaine and Clyde show, guys. We killed everybody else and decided to take the show over for ourselves. Yay! I feel like Kermit the Frog.
Yay! Ah.
Excuse me.
So, how's the snow up there?
It's so funny because last night it was just a wee dusting.
Uh-huh.
You know, the cars had a nice little white crust on them, but it wasn't sticking to like the snow and the street.
Right.
And then I roll over and go back to sleep. And I wake up this morning and all I can see out my bedroom window is white. It's like, okay, to go dump garbage today, you're going to need sled dogs and a Sherpa and a Saint Bernard for backup in case you get lost.
So did it stay or has it melted off or?
It's, Chicago, we have the Chicago mixed popcorn, cheddar and caramel. Well, we also have Chicago mixed snow. So it's snow and rain.
Mm-hmm.
So first it hits us with a lot of snow and then it starts to shift.
Mm-hmm.
So there's snow, then there's snow and rain together, and then the rain takes over.
And then comes the freezing rain.
So and it's temperatures are supposed to drop tonight, which means that and anybody in the Chicago area or as far up as Wisconsin, be careful as you're traveling tonight or tomorrow because black ice conditions will probably exist.
This morning I got peeked out about 6 o'clock and went outside to put stuff in the trash, and it was I had a dark jacket on, and I'm like, snow finally a week before Thanksgiving. Yay! It makes it feel more like Thanksgiving. But despite that, because it is in the 30s here and it's cold, the snow didn't stick or anything, but we did have some. But I am wearing my candy corn Happy Halloween Marvel shirt. I was too warm to wear this for a show around Halloween time, and I was like, I'm going to get in. It's not Thanksgiving yet. I'm going to get in one good Halloween wear before the season's out. But I'm just so tickled. I just love this. This is very festive, especially if you like candy corn. And if you don't, there you go.
I actually like candy corn.
Me too.
But I've had to cut back on it.
I can't have it.
It used to be I would start eating candy corn in September, and I would finally my candy corn thing would wear out about now.
Right.
Now I get maybe a bag in October, and it lasts me a couple of weeks.
I was loyal to Brock's. I would start with their pick a mix for Halloween, and just transition right into Thanksgiving with the corn and the little pilgrims and the turkeys and stuff, and straight into Christmas with the little red Santas with the yellow or with the white face and the those were all the same kind of cream, Brock's creams, the
Oh,
same
okay.
sort of stuff. But in our little town, they had a pick a mix where they would change the stuff that was in there for each holiday, or you
Oh,
could eventually you could get it bagged too. But yeah, it was just straight through the holidays and just
to
you
get
know.
the pick and mix here when I was a kid, you would have to go somewhere like downtown,
Mhm.
where they had, the thing you could do it. But here they have like the autumn mix.
Mhm.
So you
Mhm.
have your regular candy corn, and then you have your Indian candy corn, which
Right.
is
Right.
which is I for some reason I'm more into that. And then you have your autumn mix,
Mhm.
which is the candy corns and the pumpkins. It's both type of candy
Ah,
corns, the
there you go.
pumpkins,
Yeah.
and I forget what the other one is, but it's like supposed to be an autumn mix.
Mhm.
And I like that too. Um
Carl saying very festive, Clyde. Thank you, Carl. And let Donna rest because we don't want Grumpy Donna, chiming in.
she's
Get woke
taking
up
a
and
nap. She's
take a
taking
nap.
a nap, and I told Carl, when she wakes up, give her a hug for me. He says he's not
Yeah,
going there and hug her while she's sleeping.
yeah.
Something
So
she and
Carl,
I
if
have.
we if and we're not going to be here next week, just a heads up, because we're all going to be enjoying our festive Turkey Day. So Carl and Donna, and everybody else watching, happy Thanksgiving before we get into the reviews and things like that. If we don't see you before, happy Thanksgiving, and may all of your festive dreams of turkey and ham and pumpkin pie and ready whip or cool whip, depending on what you like. Um, the homemade cobblers, the sweet potato pies, and all those good things come true for you this holiday season. So.
To that, I'm going to add.
And also, for those of our age group, Scott is my witness. I swear, I thought turkeys could fly. Ah.
Yes, brought to you with our sponsor, Chi Chi Rodriguez. Yeah,
I am
Carl.
surprised. I mean, I was there first run for the Pinedale Mall bombing with live turkeys for WKRP. I would never have believed, although it was hilarious, and we rolled in the floor watching it. I would never have believed that all these years later there would still be merch,
Yeah,
merch and memories of it.
because people, around this time, somebody finds it on YouTube,
Yep,
and then it starts popping up on Facebook. And
yep.
it's like, yeah, okay, yes, this is a memory, and I'm here for this because this was the insanity of the 70s. It was.
Speaking of our generation, Elaine,
Hmm.
do you remember these? Did you have these around Thanksgiving time?
I seen those. I did not have any in my home.
Okay. These are the girly candles, Gurley, and
Hmm.
they were very much a part of, uh, I mean, my mom would get these out. We'd dust them off. We would get these out for this time of year. But and they made other ones. They had a variety of them, but we had the Pilgrim Girl, and we had ah, the Falling Turkey. There we go. And we had the
Oh,
turkey
oh, I
candle.
love the turkey.
Yeah,
I love the turkey.
they were festive looking, and we had the girly pilgrim guy. Now they have
Oh,
Native American figures too and stuff, but uh, these are the three that we had, and over the years they melted. We had the turkey all the way into the 90s, and ended up it got warm in the case one day and it melted.
they
So
melted.
well, it was in a display case, and
Ah,
the sun happened to come in, didn't have the shades drawn, so I managed to get replacements for them, and that's our new generation
of
of
girlies.
Thanksgiving, the Thanksgiving girly candles. Ah.
It's so girly.
Totally girly, absolutely.
Oh no.
Ah.
But I
So what have
just
you been up to?
this week has been a little crazy. My youngest son and my sister have the same birth date. well, birthday. So they
Mhm.
both born on November 16th. He just turned 34. I think Lisa just turned 58 or 59. Um, and John decided he wanted to go see Red One.
Oh yeah, that's right. You were talking about that.
And so my mom, she covered the cost. So we went and saw it. It was me, John, my oldest, my godmother, I mean my goddaughter, and my oldest friend who's also my oldest son's godmother. We went all down there. We went to the AMC River East and saw it. It was good.
Hmm.
I J.K. Simmons is a lot of fun. But
Okay.
then I it's interesting. He seems as I've noticed as he's gotten older, especially starting with the Spider-Man movies, he's having a lot more fun
Hmm.
with some of the roles that he's doing. I know you can always tell he's having fun on those farmers commercials. You
Oh
know,
yeah, yeah.
you could just tell he must be giggling his butt off every time that check arrives. It's like, yep.
I
he's
I was watching his scenes in Burn After Reading the other day. He was playing like the director of the CIA operation,
oh yeah.
and the guy that used to play Sledgehammer would report it. David Rosh would report into him, going, "Well, here's the update, Chief, of what's going on with all these um, uh, agents and or uh, what were the others, like informants in the field."
Ah,
Um,
okay.
and it's just fun. If you haven't seen the movie, it's a decent watch, but just J.K. Simmons' part in it as the guy that's trying to keep track of all these things going on, um, and you're talking about espionage and leaks of information and assets being perhaps turned, but it's very much he's just very office like business appropriate of, oh, so he's dead. Well, that takes care of that problem. No, actually, he's still alive.
What?
Okay. Well, what kind of damage can he do? Well, he's in a vegetative state right now, so probably not a whole lot. Well, good. We'll worry about him if he ever comes to. Now, it's just such a rich part, and it's not a big part of the movie, but I have I have found those little scenes going, yes, I had forgotten just how delightful, since it's like an office space business as usual kind of thing with death and dismemberment and subterfuge. It's funny, but
He
he's
tends.
also he's playing Milton Berle in the that SNL biopic.
Oh, okay. I'll have to check it
He's
out.
because
I
Milton
have.
Berle hosted, early on, like the first
Yes,
year, and so he's playing Milton Berle in that, and I got to see a clip of that little scene today. He was really good in that role as Uncle Milty too.
he's good at. He's his is a more modern Santa.
Hmm.
So he has a very crack team of ELF. His security team is a very crack team. They have technology. um Lucy Liu is in charge of it's a worldwide agency that protects and manages mythological creatures that are real.
Hmm. Hmm.
And it leans into, if you'll get it more if you understand the old world Santa legends. Krampus, Grilla the witch.
Hmm.
um if you know more about those, you'll understand the movie easier.
Cool.
you
How
know but
about
it was,
The Rock? How does he?
you know the, the Rock is good, especially when you have smart directors and producers, because let's admit it, he does not have a huge range. The Rock, I like The Rock, but he is somewhat limited in regards to his dramatic range. But this movie plays to his strengths,
Okay,
you
cool.
know, big old angry tough guy.
Mhm, mhm, yep.
And the whole point of his character is that he's 400 and something years old. He wants to retire because he feels that, adults aren't good anymore.
Mm,
So he's kind of losing his faith in humanity. And this is, and it starts out, he's decided this is going to be his last holiday that he's
Ah,
working for the big guy.
gotcha, gotcha.
And then Santa gets kidnapped,
Hmm.
snatched right out, right out from under their noses. And then he now has to go figure out who took Santa, why, and how did they get him back. Chris Evans is, and the movie starts with him as a
Mhm.
kid. And you kind of pick up he was part of a big family, but his dad was not around. And it was one of those big families where all the kids hear the adults talking about stuff. And so the kids sort of treat him like crap because they hear the adults trash talking about
Mm.
the dad has disappeared and whatnot. And it's that, and you can tell he's got that feeling of he's not there because so much as he's a member of the family, but it's more like charity.
Mm.
They
Gotcha.
might be kinder if he hadn't been a member. They taken some child orphan off the streets and had him over,
Mm.
and so he decides there's no Santa Claus. And and he's one of these guys who he's got trauma,
Mhm.
and it makes him insensitive to the world, as
Mm.
the world is, as people were insensitive to him as a child, he becomes insensitive as an adult. But he has taken his skills and become one of the best trackers out there. And I don't want to give too much away because I would hate to like say something and then someone's like, "Oh, I don't have to go see the movie now. Elaine just gave it away." So I'm gonna, But like I said, it was they're two very different characters. Um, and it's interesting because you come into what that world is like through Chris Evans' eyes.
Mm. Mhm.
So you're seeing certain aspects, like if you go into a toy story in one country, there's a thing you hit and it's like you can hit a toy store in another you can come you go in a stock room of of a toy story in New York and come out in a toy story in Thailand.
Oh, okay.
There's, because it's a network system that
Mhm.
Santa and them use to get different toys. It's a
Cute. That's
use
cute.
this system, to build extra toys but it was interesting because they um they bring up Chris Evans' character is trying to convince his cousins there's no Santa. And he
Mm.
finds the key to a room that's locked that's got all the presents in it for the kids. And his uncle catches them and he's like, "Yeah, I'm just proving there's no Santa. See, that's where our presents are." He goes, and he sends the other kids away. And he's like, "These are our presents, but these are not Santa's presents. Santa will come and it's like, yeah, right." And he goes and he eats Santa's cookies and drinks his milk, you know, and
Mm.
that sets the thing that as an adult, he's not a considerate person.
Mhm.
But and one of the arguments he has with his cousins, because they're like, "No, Santa's real," and it's like, yeah, he goes all over the world. How's he going to go to all over the world in one night and deliver all these toys? Come on now, let's be in one, and a sleigh drawn by reindeer. And then the movie explains just how that's done.
Mhm. That's cool.
But they do it in a way where they don't spoil the magic,
Cool.
which I really like. It's interesting. They do it in such a way where they don't spoil the magic. And so for my youngest, he's 34, but in many ways he's like a 4-year-old.
Mhm.
So he sits there with a child's wonder when he watches these things.
Mhm.
And he was into it. He loved it. He loved every minute of it. But as adults, because my oldest is 37, and he went with us because it was like, oh, free popcorn, soda, food. Okay,
Right.
I get the movie, and you're gonna feed me, but you're gonna shovel food in my mouth. I'm happy. He actually enjoyed it.
Hmm. Cool.
He to him to come out and say, that wasn't bad. I was like, wow.
Mm. Yeah. So, do you like to do you rate movies on a scale of like none to 5 stars or none to 10 stars? How do you normally
I will give this five reindeers.
out of
Five reindeers and or
five?
okay, I will give it 10 Lords of Leaping. How's that?
Okay, okay.
That make it better. I will give it 10 Lords of Leaping out of nine maids of milking.
So this is as good as Star Wars and um,
For the
the
movie that it for the story that they're telling and the way that they're telling it, it's
mhm.
really good.
Okay.
You know.
So no 10 Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeers.
Well, I said five reindeers. That wasn't good enough, so I just decided 10 Lords of Leaping was going to have to do. He likes to keep me on my toes. You
I'd
know.
ask her if it was a 0 to 5 star scale or a 0 to 10 star scale, and so she goes 5 reindeer, and I'm like, well, okay, but out of how many? And she's like 10 Wars of Leaping. Then okay, so it's up there with Star Wars and
Well,
It
uh,
was
it's not causing her to have 12 ladies dancing, so we kind of know where things are at.
we didn't go to 11, whatever the 11 parts are. So
no, but it was a pleasant afternoon. It was it heavy. It and I like the fact that yes, they had a message in the movie, but they don't beat you over the head with the sledgehammer with it.
okay, okay.
So if you just want to go, ooh, look, Santa, you can do that. You
Mhm.
can laugh at the jokes and and get the visual stuff and enjoy it. And if you don't want to get the message too intensely, you can kind of ignore it if you want. Those of us who got the message were like, that's what I'm talking about. I get a little feels up in here. So I highly, if you want to see it, I highly recommend it. We went, my youngest decided he wanted the sliders with curly fries and a large soda.
Ooh, ooh, yeah,
So yeah, he,
good choice.
he got the $27 meal.
Mhm.
You know? We went to the River East, and
Oh, okay, okay.
then we after that we went over to the there's when you come up in Michigan Avenue off Illinois, there's that Starbucks. They've got the leather banquettes and stuff. We
Mhm,
went to the Starbucks and spent a lot of money.
mhm.
you know. But everybody had fun, and then we did the stupid thing, which was all I had a senior moment. We got to the metro. We got on the metro. The metro was going nonstop to Stony Island. And for some stupid reason, when the train stopped at Stony Island, it was like, okay, we have to get off. Not realizing, wait a minute, we don't get off at Stony Island. We keep going. It was just going nonstop to Stony Island and then off.
It's like you
So
just want to walk. You just want to walk. That's what it was. Or you were thinking about, oh yeah, Burger King.
no, no. Oh, you know that somebody set fire to that Burger King.
Really?
Somebody set fire to the Burger King. So you can
Wow.
go through the drive-through, but they won't let you come in the restaurant anymore. I'm sorry. I thought you knew.
No, I did not know. I just see the building still standing there. I just was
It's
wondering, it's like, how come nobody was going inside? Now I know.
because they blocked it so you can't, because I thought, oh, is the kitchen fire? And it's like, nope, somebody actually tried to. The Burger King there has gone from black ownership to a Hispanic ownership, and they have a primarily Hispanic crew. And I guess somebody in the neighborhood got a little upset with that,
Hmm.
Hmm.
you know, which is sad because it's like, hello, it's the only Burger King for about 6 miles.
Hmm.
There's no more Burger King. The one that was in Hyde Park,
That's
um,
gone.
that's gone.
And then you have to go
Um,
all the way to 95th and like Stony Island for another
nope,
Burger King.
there's no Burger King there.
What's the name of
Yes,
the zoo?
I thought that was
White
still open.
Castles.
What's the name
On
of the zoo?
95th and Stony Island. You sure in that complex where the jewels and stuff is at? Because you have a KFC there and you have a Burger King. It's just right there next to the Bank of America.
Okay, you know what? We don't go as quickly by that because when my sister and I have to go out to Indiana, we come off.
Because
We
you're
take the
thinking about
Sky
Jeffrey.
Bridge off the off the Dan Ryan and come off on 87th, near
Mhm.
87th and Stony.
Right.
So I guess we bypass that, and I don't see it.
Right. Because you're thinking about 95th and Jeffrey, where the White Castle is at.
Okay, yeah, that's where the White Castle is at. Chicago, here today on Chicago architecture.
What's the zoo up there?
There's
Or is
two in the city. It's Lincoln Park Zoo, and then Brookfield Zoo is southwest of the city.
Okay.
Right.
Brookfield Zoo. Is there a Burger King around that?
I have not been there in so long I couldn't tell you.
Okay. Because when I was a little kid and we were living in Chicago, we went to the Brookfield Zoo, and that was the first time I
Brookfield
ever
is-
had Burger King. And so somewhere on the way going, or I guess it was coming back, we got Burger King. And
Did you ever? Oh, okay. I was about to say, did you ever stop in Oak Park?
um,
No, because that would have been too far north.
I don't know.
So-
Well,
That's what I'm saying. It's like it was
lived
like, were you in the city proper, or were you in the
Out
suburbs?
in- yeah.
well, I think we lived in the Oak Park area because we lived in the north part. It was a big fancy place.
Okay.
And then, but this was, we were out, basically we were heading back down to this part of the woods, and we took a side road to Brookfield Zoo and a couple other places. And I remember we got Burger King because I had never had a
You never-
sandwich that huge. I mean, that was, I was like 3. So
Yeah,
this
that big,
Well,
the
but
big
that
round burger.
But Whoppers were big back then.
Oh, they were.
Quarter
And-
pounders were big. They were
Mhm.
actually big burgers. The only Jack in the Box I knew was in Oak Park. There was a Jack in the Box in Oak Park. And my church group used to go there on occasion when we go skating. We would go there.
The only Jack in the Box that I knew about as a kid was like on like 103rd and like Cottage or something like that.
Yeah, you had to go really far.
No, because back then when I was smaller, I used to live on like 106.
Oh, okay. Okay, so you were over near Pullman?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you were over in the Pullman district.
So that was the only one, and I remember when they shut them down when the salmonella poisoning scare happened across the country.
Oh my
From,
goodness. Salmonella.
Now it's a daily thing.
And Tylenol. People were poisoning Tylenol.
Yeah,
There is that scare in the 80s where you were scared to buy Tylenol. And it was funny because I'm allergic. I can't do aspirin. It makes me ill. So, when they were like, oh yeah, Tylenol's been poisoned. It's like, what am I gonna do? No. So are you feeling better now, Joe? I was worried.
no, it wasn't that. It was just stuff that I had to take care of. It's like everything wasn't going right just before the show, and then now it's like, okay, everything is settled. People's minds are clear. I could do my thing now.
Messenger, actually, I almost didn't get in because usually I have Messenger on my desktop.
Mhm.
And for some reason, Messenger decided, because I was working on my art on my laptop and wasn't doing any Messenger. Messenger was like, you haven't used us in a couple of days, so you can't get into us unless you sign in Facebook because you need to update Messenger. So I did that, clicked the update. What came up was the same page saying I needed to update Messenger. And they were asking for PIN. And I said, okay, fine. Send me the one-time use PIN number to my phone, which I never got.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, you know what? I got Messenger on my Facebook. I got Facebook on my internet. Let me get on my, let me get on my laptop. Let me pull up Facebook and get in the Messenger there. It's like, gotta get a little smarter, Microsoft. Today you can give me nothing but a
Oh,
headache.
got a little smarter Zuckerberg.
So are you enjoying all the snow, Joe?
No,
You didn't have to shovel today, did you?
no, I did. I showed during my lunch hour.
Ah,
I'm so sorry. We just
But,
stayed in the
even with
house.
shoveling, I felt good about it because it wasn't all that much shoveling, because I took lunch about late again. So I went out there probably about like closer to like 1:45, where all the snow had pretty much
And
gone
it
past
started to
it,
rain.
and
Oh, okay.
it was slowly starting to turn to rain.
Mhm.
So get out there, shovel everything, and then right about now with the rain and everything, it's like for where I shoveled everything, it's just like everything is pretty much clear. Again, like you said, have to worry about the black ice and everything, but most of the stuff is cleared off enough where if you see it, you will see it. It's not like
Okay.
it's going to be buried.
No, but it's also depending on, because I mean, I know in the Dan Ryan,
Hmm.
um, especially at night, because it all looks wet. So you can't tell a stretch of black ice from just a regular piece of road. You know, they don't call it the dangerous Dan for nothing. The Dan Ryan, when I was a little girl, the Dan Ryan was famous for jackknifing trucks.
Hmm.
That was if a truck, if at least two trucks didn't jackknife on the Ryan every week, it was a weird week. It was like, it's like, but every few days, yes, a truck has just, it would be like, okay, what was in the truck? Because some weeks it would just be a regular truck, but other time, I think a couple of times they've had poultry trucks that have done it. And whatnot. And it's always fun when it's something interesting and crazy because it's like, okay, they had to shut down the Dan Ryan for like 6 blocks because they had to clean up all the watermelons or something.
One truck with Diet Coke, one truck with Mentos. Boom.
Yeah, there are a couple of areas on the Ryan where trucks coming from opposite directions, especially if they're on that sky bridge. If you don't know which way you're going, pow! You know,
I'm still
people in
scared.
Chinatown will go, the rain is interesting today.
Oh, the interchange there.
Yeah, that the one that lets you cross over to you go cross over and you can get on to the outer drive over. I think you come in front of McCormick Place and get onto outer drive from there.
Hmm. Oh, that whole area is just crazy. The interchange.
It was even crazier when you had three or four different trains that used to come, because what the red line used to what is now the green line used to come down to Roosevelt. No, before Roosevelt, it would turn
Hmm.
and get onto the Dan Ryan.
It'll go over to Dan Ryan
Yeah.
and then come back out south and then head over west.
So you and it was funny because you had to know which train you were getting, because one train went into the subway and one stayed above ground. And depending on where you were trying to get, would determine which train you got.
See, you and I grew up in the day where the red line was always above ground. Now the red line is underground.
Yeah, because they took, because part of what is now the green line, and they keep. I remember when I came back and they had changed. They changed the colors because it was like I was like, okay, and I was explaining to my kids about the Evanston Express, and it was like, and
Purple line.
my friends were like, "Oh, that's the purple line." It's like, does the Skokie Swift still the Skokie Swift?
Yeah, the Skokie Swift is still the Skokie Swift. You have to go all the way to
You got to get it
Howard
at Howard. Yeah, yeah.
to get to Skokie, and it just didn't make any sense. It's like, do I really need to go to Skokie? Because that's like a
What's
2 hour
this?
from where I'm at. That's like a 2 hour train trip just to get out to Howard, and then you got another 30, 15 to 30 minutes on the Skokie Swift.
Yeah.
Skokie is to Joe what Berwyn is to Svengoolie.
Merwin.
Berwyn.
No, but I was explaining. It's been a crazy week because Friday we had the movie. Saturday, which was John's actual birthday, we rented Transformers 1, and it was fun. We had fun with it. It wasn't, Usually when it's a movie John wants to see, I kind of approach it into this isn't going to be heavy, deep, and real storytelling, because the movies, it's like I was explaining to Clyde, it's like in certain ways he's a 4-year old. So, and so he's going to want to see those movies that are aimed more at kids, you know. And but I liked it. There was a kind of darkness to it. But you could see they were trying to bring aspects of the different versions of Transformers lore together. So, because I think they were doing this with the intention of if it does well enough, they'll make another one. So I think their intention is to make a series of these Transformer movies. But it was really, I mean, it was really sorry. I have this poster that fell out. That fell off my wall, and every time we try to put it back on the wall, it falls back off.
Hmm.
And then every time I try to put it somewhere so it's not getting in the way, it it does weird things. I think it's haunted.
Hmm.
I think it's haunted. It's a D&D poster. I really love it, but I think it's haunted. I think something's wrong with it. Matt Mercer is haunting me.
Hmm.
But it feels like they want to go into this, but it was very well animated. It was very well done. And I really enjoyed it from the story aspect was good because it gave you enough idea of what the relationships were, and to see certain characters that you've seen from other things go, oh, that's this one, and okay, that's how that started.
Hmm.
It was fun. I got into it. I enjoyed it, but then it was like, oh, now get up the next morning because everybody wanted, Sunday. We had Kentucky Fried Saturday, so we had to go out and get Kentucky Fried and stuff and bring it home. And then Sunday, it was pancakes, sausage, hash browns, and eggs. So, mom got up and cooked. I really worked that microwave. But I cooked the eggs on the stove. I did cook the eggs on the stove. But it was like, get up, make breakfast. And then Monday, go do laundry. So it's like it's been, and I've been trying to also get work on the comic done because I've got like 7 pages left to go. I'm trying to make my way through them. Um, some of the challenges is I have a couple of pages that have to be redrawn. And I'm not great at proportion. I redid a page. I took a picture of it with my camera because I didn't want to take the time to turn on my printer and scan it and do it because sometimes my printer doesn't want to talk to my computer and it gets a little headachy. And so I took it with my camera, I put it on Dropbox and switched it to my laptop, and now it doesn't want to fit on the page. It's like, oh, geez, is there no easy way to do this? So it's going to be that. But I've also been, oh, shoots, let's see if I can get this. Thinking out ideas for stuff. So I haven't been lazy in that. I've just been sort of trying to work out, and I'm working the stupid ideas out before my brain gets into the better ideas. This one I was thinking the our comic book struck the banner and then an open book behind it and then colors of the rainbow coming out of the book, because it's a book and it's spectrum. Yes, I was being
No, what the first thing I thought about? What would LeVar Burton say about that?
I think he'd be flattered. Or at least he better be, or I smack him. You know?
went to visit the family last night, and I was impressed that I had on my Schoolhouse Rock T-shirt. My
Ooh,
daughter was wearing her Reading Rainbow T-shirt. We didn't plan it or anything; it just happened that way.
cool.
I know.
So did you guys sing?
We kind of did. She did the opening bar for her kids. She did the butterflies in the sky. I can fly
Oh,
twice as high, and I was doing the conjunction junction. What's
what's
that
your
function?
function?
Oh yes.
Putting up words and phrases and clauses like
Mhm, mhm. And the kids, of course, were like, "What?" So, uh,
I swear this
uh,
generation of kids need to have Schoolhouse Rock. They need to have it.
they've seen some of it, but I don't know that it has. They're not old enough for it to have really stuck firmly with them yet. But I think that she will be getting volumes of both of those shows to show them. So, and
they
like
used
for Halloween,
they
we did
had them
Scooby
on
Doo with them. They
they
like
had
that.
them on VHS for a short time
Yeah.
I
because I
know that
had
there was selectively.
multiplication
Yeah.
rock on VHS and my boys, I think one of the reasons they both were really good at math is because when they were very little, I got hold of the VHS and multiplication rock.
Hmm.
And and they were so into it, even John was like, oh, elementary, my dear. He was really getting into it as well. And it's like, okay, I have given them a foundation. I
Hmm.
get the cool mama war, or at least the not totally crappy mama war.
Oh,
you know. And this coming week, I don't know if I'll get any work done this coming week because we have to get the house together and then ready for Thanksgiving. And my Swiffer mop broke.
Oh
oh.
no, that's not good.
I've had it for the one that broke, I'd had for like almost 9 years.
Mm.
Oh,
So,
it was the time. It's like kill me now.
so I just can't go on. Oh, you grab me? Yep. So
Mm.
it's like I had to make an extra trip this week because I had to get a new one. And then Saturday, pray for me because Saturday I have to take my youngest to World Market because part of his birthday tradition is we go to World Market. He loves Advent calendars,
Mm.
so I'm getting him an thanks to my sister Lisa. We are getting him an Advent calendar, and he also loves. They have these drums of. Have you been to World Market, Clyde?
Mm.
Oh, okay. I'll next time I'm on, I'll have to show you the drum. There's these cookies. They're called Nyakers is the company, and they're these lovely thin ginger snaps,
Mm.
and they are very, very good. And John
Come on,
loves these.
Carl. Happy Thanksgiving, Carl.
Ah!
All right. Happy Thanksgiving, Carl.
Hug your sweetie when she wakes up, if she does. But yeah, it's so I've got to take him to get his advent calendar because in all the running that I did, I forgot. And so I contacted my sister a couple of nights. It's like, look, I'll give you $20 on the first if you can just order him an advent calendar.
Mhm.
And she's like, he likes to go to pick him out. It's like, yes, but I don't have any more money. It's just like, here, I'll send you money. Take him. Go get it done. She dotes on him.
Mhm.
She dotes on him. Oh, anybody who's listening, go to Family Dollar. They have the Merry Christmas, you filthy animal t-shirts in the men's sizes for $8 a piece.
All right.
That is,
Classic. Yep, that's
you know,
classic.
that's your friendly, helpful information from your auntie Moo.
Yes,
Mhm. Mhm.
that's worthwhile. That is actually worthwhile. I could see wearing a t-shirt like that.
I saw it and it was like, oh my goodness. If I get any money and they've still got the t-shirts, you know what you guys are getting them from me. Yeah, just we can all show up in January with Merry Christmas, you filthy t-shirts. I saw it and it was like, oh my goodness. So I grabbed one because that's all I had enough money for. So I know at least one person in my family will get that one if I don't get any more. But yeah, if it's one of those things over here, there I guess there are not enough people who are fans of the movie who shop that particular Family Dollar,
Mhm.
for which I'm grateful because it means I might actually get some more.
I don't think people would get the reference, to be quite honest, because again, how often do people really watch that intently the first two Home Alone movies?
Oh, I do, but I'm
I'm just saying, we're talking about in our neighborhoods,
that's true. There
where we're at. Not, I was like, not too many people.
and it's yeah. I mean, it's a yearly thing in my house that
Mhm.
at least somebody is going to watch a Home Alone film between now and New Year's. Yes, Courtney, I know. At least somebody's going to be watching a Home Alone movie between now and New Year's. But we're weird. We're weird
Ho-
people, you know.
Hopefully, it's not three.
No,
Home Alone 3 was, to me, was the worst one out of all of them.
that's the one where they got the new kid.
Hmm.
I never watched that one. It was, it's Macaulay Culkin or nothing. Because it wasn't just a new kid, it was new thieves.
New,
It was the whole
yeah, it was new thieves. The thieves were more espionage agents and everything, so they took a whole different aspect of it, and it just like it wasn't the same Home Alone.
and there's a silliness to the movie because it's like, yeah, a little kid is not going to do this, and it takes you have to suspend your disbelief, but it's fun. This one was like, okay, y'all just you went from teasing the shark with a bit of with a little bit of tuna to jumping that puppy altogether. No, thank you. Not gonna bother.
Did they jump it? Boy, did they jump it! Because again,
Well,
it wasn't about being left home alone. It's like, okay, the kid is sick. He was getting over,
he
like,
was getting
I
over
think it was
something.
like chicken pox or measles or something like that. He was just getting over it when all this stuff started happening.
But he's in the house by himself.
Right.
There's
It's
supposed to be a
like,
situation where
something
the kid is
happened where everybody had to leave him home alone because he was there with his, I believe it's like his mother and father was there. Father had to go to work. Mother was there with him. And then something came up where mother's job had something where it's just like it was imperative. It's like, well, I'm torn
she
about leaving you alone and this, that, and the other. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take care of this as long as you stay in the house.
no, and it was so it was like they were constantly they were constantly tying themselves in the knots, how trying to figure out a new thing. Whereas the Macaulay Culkin films, that
It
group,
made sense.
and they wrote themselves. Once you got the first one, because of all the dynamics you had put together, you know, it was like, of course he would go to New York and they would escape and he'd run into them there.
Hmm.
You know, he gets on the plane, but it's the wrong plane.
Right.
So it's like, okay, because let's admit it, Kevin's parents are not the sharpest tacks in the box. You
I'm
know,
surprised that Kevin's parents still have Kevin, especially after the second one. The
oh,
second
oh my
movie,
goodness.
that would have been the end of it. DCFS would have been on them and been like, nope, we take it all, we take it everybody that's underage. That's no, How
It's
in the
like,
world you're in France
Mhm.
and he's in
and
New York?
and it's like, but you get to, because it's like, okay, the kid hides out when the cops come because he doesn't realize it's the cops. And it's like all the doors are secure. Have them count the kids again, you know. But it's like, okay, this is somebody who really doesn't want to be. It's cold. He doesn't want to be out. He wants to get back. He wants to get back in his car with his hot cocoa or coffee or whatever. He doesn't. He's not really thinking about this, you know, because they're in France. They don't have. How are we going to get them if they're in France? We can't. But it's like, to me, it would be like, wait a minute, you're in France and you don't know where your child is.
Hmm.
Okay, get to the embassy. One of you get your asses to the embassy. I'm gonna call. We're gonna comb. We're gonna break down the door. We're gonna find your kid and figure out how you got to France and not knowing where your child was.
I was looking at some of the catalogs that we get, and they had a Home Alone shirt for Christmas that I'm like, who would wear that? It's the uncle, the really mean uncle from the second movie.
Oh
And-
no! He's in both movies. He's in
Okay,
both
well,
movies.
it's the one where he, well, maybe it was from the first movie then, but it's it's got his really upset face, and it says, "Look what you did, you little jerk."
Oh yeah, that's from the first movie. That's
Okay.
when
Yeah.
Got the like snow and stuff. It's got all the sweater stuff around it, but I'm like, who'd want to wear that one? I'd much rather have take
that's
this, you filthy animals.
it's a
That
much
one I would wear. That one I
yeah.
would actually would wear.
That scene happens because Kevin's older brother, Kevin
Oh yeah,
doesn't like,
that's right.
he only likes cheese pizzas. And his older brother, they've eaten all the cheese pizza, and his older brother makes like he's about to vomit pizza onto the plate to freak Kevin out. Kevin takes a swing at him, things go haywire, he bumps into the table, domino effect, Pepsi all over the table.
Mhm.
But what gets me is if you have a kid who wets the bed at night, you don't let them drink Pepsi
Hmm.
in the evening. You don't let them drink.
The cousin.
Yeah, if you have a kid that, I don't care if it is especially because it's your brother's house. You know, if I was that age and I was wetting the bed and my mother let me go somewhere, oh my goodness, it'd be like, oh, you're not drinking anything. And, at least 6 adults and a couple of older teenagers would have walked me into a bathroom before I could even get in bed.
Mhm.
You know,
or came up to the attic and be like, come on, time for you to go to the bathroom.
yeah, it'd have been like putting them in the attic because it's like, okay, so you have a kid who wets the bed, so he's already got some trauma. Now you stick him in an attic where he's alone and it's scary. Because they stuck him in it's like, wow, this is the McAllisters. When you think about it, the McAllisters are kind of a horror show.
For
You
as
know.
big as that house was, it was just like they were not human beings. That's all I could say. They were not truly human beings.
But yeah, from a psychological standpoint, because it was the uncle's kid, and it was like, okay, we get it. He wets the bed. Then you should. I mean, because they had things that they could have put on the bed. Everybody knew this kid wets the bed. There were precautions at that time you could take. They have the pads. You could get the pads, put them on the bed, so he's not making a mess or anything.
Mhm.
And I'm thinking, and they had pull-ups. They had pull-ups. So it's like, and he's sitting there drinking Pepsi, and they're just allowing it to happen.
And not just like barely sipping. I mean, he was just like
Oh, he's
gulping
glugging
it
that.
down.
He
But then
might have.
again, it also make me think about the trauma because the uncle was a piece of work.
Oh my goodness.
He was an abusive piece of work.
They're on the plane, and I guess it's 3 brothers. It's the 3 McAllister brothers. 2 of them make sense. One of them is a piece of work. And the most successful is the one that's got the family. They're living in France now for his job. He sends everybody tickets in the first movie to come to France. And they're in first class. All the adults got to fly in first class. And they're in first class. They're getting, and the thing is, they're all kind of like upper middle class. That's the whole point. They're all kind of upper middle class people. He has his wife steal the salt and pepper shakers from the airplane.
You were talking about all the things that they could have done for their kid to keep him from wetting the bed. I'm like, He's not springing for pull-ups. He's not springing for rubber sheets or anything. No.
You know, and and he is abusive because he and the wife are sitting there, and he's like, and this was when they would give you complimentary champagne in first class. You know, he's like, "Is this real crystal? Do you think this is real crystal?" And it's like, "Oh, look, salt, the fancy salt. Here, put them in your purse. Put them in a purse." And you can see she doesn't want to do it.
I think it says a lot about his work, because he was a psychiatrist for the police department in the Terminator movies. So
Yes, I keep forgetting that. Yes, he was.
I think that he took that home with him a lot. I think he took his job home.
You know, and he really loved singing the song "Cool Jerk" in the shower. You know, he was just really Frank, Uncle Frank. That's his name, Uncle Frank. And he loved singing, doing the cool jerk in the shower. But yeah, when you think about it, it's kind of a really messed up family. And you're thinking, these aren't struggling people. The McAllister house is like a palace. That place is huge. You know, so they're not starving. They're not, and yet here he is, put these in your purse, put them in. And it's like, you could have gone to Macy's and bought those. If you were that, it's, I keep thinking of the three brothers, he was the least successful. It's like of the three brothers, he was the least successful because he just sort of, he was this very much a cheapskate. He's very much a cheapskate and it's interesting because he also was, for someone who wasn't Kevin's father, he was really judgmental of Kevin. Look what you did, you little jerk. And I'm thinking, this is your brother. It's like, I don't know. Maybe in white families it's different.
I don't know. I don't think it was a race thing per se, but it goes to show you how much of a jerk he was.
Because it's like
most families I know, the dad would have been stepping up to him going, look, little brother or big brother, back off. It's my kid.
Somebody's dad should get up and say, hey, wait a minute. And then to make things worse, mom gets in on it. There are 7 people in this house and you're the only one. And it's like, wait a minute. He didn't do this on his own. Buzz started it. Because it's
we can fix that, Uncle Frank. You guys leave. There's not 7 people in the house anymore.
Because that's what gets me. It's like Buzz, it's like he is definitely the favorite son because he also, when they have the second movie, they open with the school concert and Kevin has to sing this little solo and Buzz is behind him doing the thing with the stuff and everybody's laughing. And nobody, and then when Kevin realizes what's done and he turns around and he clocks him, then suddenly he's at fault.
I keep thinking about the conversation that he had with his mom in the first one. And mom pretty much gave him the whole, you have to be bigger than them. And I was like, you don't have my back. You don't have my back. Why should I be bigger than them? Why should I just accept this?
Why should I just put up with this? He treats me like crap because you let him get away with it. And it's interesting because it's like, okay. And I keep thinking Frank has to be the older brother. The other 2 brothers, because also when they get to France, there's a quick scene where they had shrimp set aside for later. Frank goes in the kitchen where he's not supposed to be, finds the shrimp, and they're like, no, that's for later. And he's like, screw that. And he decides to eat it anyway. And it's like, well, you see where Buzz gets it.
It was just a lot. There's a lot of stuff with Frank that I just didn't like because especially in the second one, when they found out that Kevin wasn't there, it's like, okay. You guys got the money. Why don't you get? Why don't you just send? Why don't you just go back and the rest of us will stay here? I was like, wow.
I felt it was kind of karmic that Kevin got a first class hotel and they were stuck in some, third rate motel in Florida where it rained. When they get there. It's some sleazy third rate motel and it's raining. So there's nothing to do and nowhere to go. Because Florida in the rain, it's just like, I Florida and rain is about as much fun as a roller coaster with no seatbelts. You're gonna end up dead. The only question is, at what point will it happen? But death is coming for you because this is not gonna end well.
Now, kind of thinking about the second movie, one of the things that I just now thought about, which family member did he break into the house? Because remember, he went to, I forgot which aunt it was who was in New York.
The family that was in France had a house in New York. They had got a place in New York they were renovating. And they weren't there because they hadn't got back from France yet. So he had gone to France. The brother had gone to France for a job. Mm-hmm. And I guess had made enough money where they had gotten a New York brownstone, which even when you consider how many floors this place had, was what even then was not cheap. So we're talking at least at the time, I think that would have been $500,000. Or more for that
him to break into there and make the final stand. I was like, the police didn't think about that.
Neither did she. Mom didn't think about that. Mom didn't say, hey, when they talked to the cops, Mom didn't say, hey, we have a brother who has a house, that Kevin, because he had his mother's, he not his mother's, he had his father's bag and mm-hmm. his father's phone book mm-hmm. with his address book was in it, which is how he found the place, was mm-hmm. because the address was there. So he found the address because it was it was a brownstone off Central Park. Mm-hmm. It was only a couple of blocks from Central Park. So yeah, it was not cheap. It was not cheap at all. So, but yeah, that's how he knew how to go there, is because he had his dad's address book and had looked it up. And I guess with the, he knew how to use Kevin was the smartest of the bunch because he knew how to use technology. He knew how to use technology.
He knew how to use technology, and he knew how to convince adults what was really going on. Because again, he convinced the concierge to allow him into that hotel.
He got into I think he had told him that his dad, he and his dad were there for business, and his dad was in a meeting, and his mm-hmm. dad had sent him to check in. And then because he had recorded Frank in the shower when the guy came up to check on him, he was in the bathroom playing. It's like, okay. And I always think Kevin as an adult works for the CIA.
Yeah, I just love the whole thing about him and the whole filthy animal type deal until the hotel staff came up.
That was the second recording from mm-hmm. the movie, or Angels with Even Dirtier Faces, because mm-hmm. the first movie was Angels with Dirty Faces.
Faces, right?
But Frank he records Frank in the shower. So when the concierge comes up, Tim Curry, who I've met, he's a lovely man, lots of fun. When the concierge comes in, he plays the recording of his uncle in the shower. He runs the shower and he plays the recording. So he really thinks, and I think he has the blow up. He's got the blow up bozo or something. Mm-hmm. So when he looks in the bathroom, he makes it look like talk. He's shaking his, I'm gonna kill you. He gets up and he runs out. Um, but it was like, okay, this guy is, he's either going to be working for the CIA or he's going to be one of those hackers who's forced to work for the CIA because it's either that or spend the rest of his life in prison.
Uh-huh.
So it's like we all know where Kevin's going to go as an adult.
Kevin's going to have a lot of money and be away from his family. That's the
Oh,
only thing that I could honestly say about Kevin in that aspect here.
I was think Kevin would have a lot of money. He'd buy a house in the woods or on an island. And I was think, a follow up to Home Alone would be somewhere around Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Hmm.
Lots of horrific things going on, but funny as all get out.
I don't know. I just saw another home. I want to see another Home Alone where he actually give Buzz his comeuppance.
Hmm.
That's
Them being older and he gives him his comeuppance.
I always think, because I've had relatives, I've had really bad, bad blood between us, and I just will not speak to those people now. I think if I had, and I have, my father has a lot of daughters. He's sprinkled all over the planet. And I have a couple of sisters that I don't get along with, and we just, we avoid each other like the plague. It's like, oh,
adult Kevin gets online and goes, "Oh, look, it's a friend's request from Buzz." Delete. The end.
Yeah. Less a movie and one of those PSAs for how to deal with crazy relatives. When the psychos come a calling, delete the friend request. Just a little bit of knowledge from your Uncle Lair.
I saw something this week that I don't know if you guys have seen it or not, but it was done with the approval. I'm sure it borders on AI, so that's not great. But the Roddenberry Foundation, they've started to do these little short tribute videos. This one was like, I think like 5 minutes long or so, but they got William Shatner to reprise his role as Captain Kirk.
Oh, I haven't seen this.
And they got Gary Lockwood to come back as Lieutenant Commander Gary Mitchell.
Oh,
And they got Robin Curtis to come back as an older Savik. And
Really?
there isn't much dialogue or anything. It's mainly just acting, but that's the first time Shatner has portrayed, and it was in to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the release of Generations.
Okay.
Movie. So,
which was the first crossover between the Next Generation and the original crew.
Right.
It was the movie transition from original series to Next Generation, and Next Generation took over from there, movie wise.
The premise, because it has just a series of numbers on the first one that they did, and the idea, if you remember, Yeoman J.M. Colt, who was in The Cage, she was the other female that they took. They had number one, and they had her, and then they had Captain Pike.
She's the blonde.
She's or strawberry kind of with the ponytail.
Oh, okay, yes.
Okay, so we're going back to
The Cage.
Wow.
She's not the woman that they saved.
Is that the second pilot?
No, it's the original pilot. It's the original pilot that they didn't show because they felt it was too cerebral.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then did the second pilot, which is Where No Man Has Gone Before.
That's the one that's got Gary Mitchell.
That's the one that's got Gary Mitchell in it.
So, but the premise is that this Yeoman Colt ends up becoming like a traveler, like they had in the Next Generation. She ascends to being able to play with time and space and observe, kind of like the Watcher, observing all these things that happen. So we see Captain Kirk in various times during his career.
Ooh.
We see him as the original series Kirk, and the Kirk from Wrath of Khan, and the Kirk from Generations. Um, and we get to see Spock and Savik's son because
Oh
they go
wow.
with that premise that when he was going through Pon farr in the Search for
On
Spock
par.
movie,
Yeah.
she helped him through that
Oh, that's
phase of his.
right.
Yeah, that's one of those they never acknowledged it. It was written in the script, but
Because
they
they were
never
in
went
that they
there.
were in that place in the cold in that cage together.
Yep.
Right.
And she was
So,
helping, yeah, she was helping him sort of regain his equilibrium. Yes.
yep.
And the
So
Vulcans take that very seriously. The
they do,
Vulcans are not one for just recreational sex.
but it goes about like 5 to 7 minutes. And they have somebody that is, again, this is with you got all those people involved in front of the camera. You got a whole bunch of the people, the Akutas that did a lot of the designs on the original series and the
Mhm.
movies. They are behind the scenes. A lot of the people from the TV shows, the Next Generation and others, doing the directing and all this stuff. So it's a real it's a real love letter to the fans to show them some scenes and to fill in some blanks. But uh, and one of the producers is also Leonard Nimoy's widow, Susan.
Oh, cool.
So she approved them to do like a redo of Spock using CGI and stuff. And so we get a final scene with Kirk and Spock together that we never
Oh,
got to see before.
cool.
It's worth looking up. It's called Unification, but it has that series of numbers in front of it. It's like 745891, whatever
Oh,
her
the weird
ID
date
number.
sequence that they
It's
have.
no, it's the ID number for Colt.
Okay. Is it on YouTube or
Yeah,
on?
it's on
Okay.
YouTube.
I will
If you
look
look
it
up
up.
Otoy, Otoy, and Star Trek Unification, you'll find it.
Okay. Because the 20th Century Fox, there's been some fan films for the Alien series
Ah,
that have been done.
mhm.
And they're really good. They actually are really good. My favorite is one called Monday. A woman gets up on a Monday and find out there's an alien on the ship.
Mhm,
And she's got to deal with it. It's like she comes,
mhm.
it's like I hate Monday. It's kind of thing. But there's a couple of them and they're really interesting. And it was like, wow, some people are putting in the first one I watched, I didn't catch that it was Fox. And then at the end of it, you realize that this was something that they did with 20th
Mm,
Century Fox. And
mhm.
there's a couple of those running around like that. Um, what I would love to see brought back, and I think they've moved on and are doing other things. I don't know if you ever saw the bunnies. I keep forgetting what cable service they were for. I think it may have been HBO. No, it was Cinemax, I think. There was this couple. This was in the early days of very cheap animation. I forgot what it's called. They used to do the bunnies version, short, truncated version of these movies, but all the characters were bunnies,
Mm.
and they were funny as all get out. And I loved them. They're I love those because they were so they were and they had and they for a few years they were the entire series. I forget which like I said, I think it was either HBO or Cinemax. I can't remember which, but they had the entire series and you could just it was one of those on-demand features because it think they originally started on the internet doing these little bunnies and someone at one of these services saw them and said, "Ooh, that's fun. That's funny. Hey, come do that for us. We'll give you money." And they done I think they did a couple of the Nightmare on Elm Streets and all sorts of different films that they'd done and they were all so funny. They were all so funny because it was like, yeah, we're going to retell this movie using cartoon rabbits.
Hmm.
And it was a couple, and then I guess they got some friends to help them. I should look it up to see what they're doing now, because I keep thinking they are probably doing, but I think the equivalent on YouTube would be Team 4 Star,
Hmm.
in regards to fan based, really fun, adaptations of things. Yeah, I'm a Team 4 Star fan. I'm weird that way. Shoot me. So, are we watching any holiday movies this month? Ooh, ooh, Joe found it.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm going to take the hit for this,
Okay.
but
Okay.
we're about to watch it.
Well, nobody's here but us.
Yeah.
Nobody's here but us chickens. Carl left, and it's just me in the chat.
Yep.
I can say naughty
No, it's
stuff.
3 people. No, it's actually 3 people watching. We just don't have a lot of people chatting.
Ah, okay. Okay. Ooh. Oh, wow.
That's definitely Pike.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's Gary Mitchell.
Oh, that's Gary Mitchell. Yeah, that's right. That's not Christopher Pike. Sorry. That's not Vulcan.
That's definitely older Kirk.
With really good girdle.
I would never forget that uniform. That's one of the unique ones that they have for the movies.
Yeah, that was from they started that one in the second. No, trying to think. Wrath of Khan? Was that one?
Something like that.
The ones they did for the first Star Trek the Motion Picture, nobody liked.
Admiral Kirk. Spock's mom.
No, Lieutenant Savick.
Oh, that is Savick, yes.
What?
Yep. I
The
recognize
aged?
her.
Aged?
Aged her.
Yes. Well, think of how old she was when they did it. She's around my age.
But why would they de-age Shatner?
Because it's Shatner.
Because they're picking them from across time. That's why I said Colt is able to bring together people from different times in their lives.
And I take it the guy in the hood is supposed to be their son.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, goodness. I haven't seen him in a long time from Next Generation.
Yeah. Why so serious? Oh, okay.
Now they really de-aged him.
Yeah, but they did a really good job.
They did a good job on that one. Original series versus movie. And that's definitely generations.
There are always possibilities, Spock said. And if Genesis is indeed life from death, I must return to this place again.
I'm surprised David isn't here since he mentioned Genesis.
David is dead.
But
The guy.
remember, they're going through time. Remember,
Yeah.
can remember he never told David how proud he was. He never had the opportunity.
Yeah.
David died before that happened.
And Merritt Buttrick, the guy who portrayed David, also died.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
He died just a few years after the movie got made.
Mhm.
Eek.
Yeah, he was very young.
Oh, they used J.J. Abrams Spock.
Mhm.
This they using the J.J. Abrams how Leonard Nimoy was in J.J. Abrams' two Star Trek movies.
Yeah, because that would have been the last footage they had of him.
This must be an awfully long credit.
It is, yeah.
Yeah,
Yep,
Robin
there.
Curtis.
Yeah, Gary Lockwood.
Mhm.
Now there's other shorts in the series, but they're like a minute long. But that what all the other shorts was leading up to this here unification.
Oh, okay. I will look them up. Susan Bay Nimoy. Okay.
And there's a longer one than this that has a few other scenes in it. They put that one out, I think, yesterday. That was kind of like a extended version of it. So
Any of the other older crew featured in any of these?
I haven't gone back and looked at those other ones, so I'm not sure.
I have
They
to
have
look.
on their page, on the Otway page, and the Roddenberry Foundation page, they've got interviews about this, and it shows some behind the scene pictures of all the actors together. Gary Lockwood is 87, and it showed him sitting there being scanned so they could do that scene with him as Gary Mitchell. So
Kind of make you wish there was more of it.
Well,
I don't know.
considering what it would have cost just to do the effects for that short, you know,
Mhm.
you could shoot an entire indie film for what the effects budget was for this
Yeah.
to get
And-
out the level of quality that they did, you know.
but having a final scene between those two characters, that was very, both at the ends of their lives,
Yeah.
but brought together. That was very cool, I thought.
Also, considering that the because the timeline has been altered due to the new sets of movies, this couldn't have occurred without them doing it this way.
Yeah.
Right, right.
But that was nice. I do have to agree that was nice. But it is time for us to talk about some comics here. Unfortunately,
Hey, I did watch. We were talking about things that we watched. I got to check out Godzilla -1 minus color,
minus
The
color.
Minus
White.
color?
the black and white version of it.
Oh, okay. I didn't know there was a black and white version.
There is on Netflix. You can see either one. I've watched the color one a couple times, but the black and white one this week, I took time to watch it, and it adds a lot because of the way that the timeline is at the end of World War II when they have their first encounter. And so it gives that a real feel of, wartime footage.
And probably
be black
touches
and white.
on the earliest Godzilla films. For the longest time, we didn't have a color TV.
Mm-hmm.
So all the Godzilla movies I ever saw as a kid were in black and white. The only
Right.
time I ever saw a Godzilla movie in color for the longest time until I got into my early teens was at my grandmother's.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I thought all Godzilla films were in black and white. I didn't realize until I was
But
a
it
lot.
was worth a watch to see it that way. It does land differently. They're both good. I really like the color version, but it was good to see it in black and white too. So.
I love this story
Mhm.
because I think this story, because I've heard people when they've seen the one where it starts in Japan, what's his name from Malcolm in the Middle, the dad is in it. And
What's his name?
or what's his name? But yeah, he's in it, and people were saying there wasn't enough.
Cranston.
Yeah, Cranston was in it, and people, I was disappointed in that one because he dies really quick. If you haven't seen it now, I'm sorry, you feel I spoiled it. I'm talking to the audience, but he dies pretty quickly in the movie, but his death is the impetus for pushing the son forward. In some ways, because it's interesting. I always thought that movie was because it reminded me so much of the Odyssey. Odysseus just wants to get home, and now that he's got, he went to this crazy ass war and all this stuff happened. Now he just wants to go home and live the rest of his life in sanity. And that's the kind of feeling you get from this guy, because he's a soldier who he's finally gotten to go home. And then he gets home, he has to leave. And then there's the insanity. And kind of a Trojan horse situation, if you think about, the power plant. Um, and then he's not interested so much in fighting Godzilla as he just wants to get home. And like any military person, it's like, oh, there's a jet going, there's a flight going this way. Hey, I'll be whatever I have to be to get on this flight so I can get home. Oh, and I know about explosives. So if this train will get me closer home, I'm doing explosives. He is just trying to get home to his wife and son. And this situation with Godzilla just makes it all that more intense for him. And I always felt, yeah, there's a little of the odyssey in that, because this man he just wants to get home. He just wants to get, especially since his wife doesn't have her Scarlet Witch powers, and so she can't, she can't magic things. I'm sorry, I just had to say it. Someone did, and it needed to be me, because that's why.
So, who's got a review?
I hope you do, because I've been busy.
Aha! I wondered if that was the build up earlier to this week. Has been so crazy.
Well, like I said, and then it was like, oh shoot, and I need to start putting some thought into, because I said I was going to take a bash at the art.
Right.
I need to start taking a bash, and
Yeah.
it's like, okay, well, and it's like, okay, a spectrum, different colors, and it's like, are they, coming out of our logo in front, and then a book in back, and all the colors and stuff coming out. And it was like, oh, okay. So I just started, and yes, I will admit I was doing that today. Literally, while I was waiting to go on, I was like, okay, I'm just going to color. I've got, I actually have my markers sitting here, because I'm sitting there going, what color goes to good here?
So, Joe, do you have a review?
No, but I brought my excuse of why I don't have a review, and it's in
Okay.
the form of 2 books. That
Yeah.
one here, let me go ahead and blow myself
Oh,
up.
that's right. The Birds
Yeah.
of Prey cover.
So I did this one. This is my first attempt at negative space. I still have to color it for it to
Okay.
really kind of like pop out.
Okay.
And then
Oh,
I love it. I love it.
girls. Oh, that's adorable.
it's this particular Powerpuff Girl. Do you know which one it is?
Is that Buttercup?
No.
Well, hell, Joe.
They
I'm
did.
old.
They did a full blown movie, and she was in the newer series of Powerpuff Girls.
I haven't watched the newer series of Powerpuff Girls.
This is a rendition of Bliss, the oldest one.
I
The one that was
I
forgotten
haven't seen
about.
that one. Okay. I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, so
But the length of the hair made me
Bubbles
immediately
and
think of
Buttercup
Buttercup.
have an older sister,
Hmm.
and emphasis on sister. There was one
Yes.
before those 3, and her name was Bliss.
And and some fan folks got really ticked off about that too.
Mhm. But the story was actually excellent about who she was, how she came about, and everything. It's just people got upset because Bliss was, if I could say, of a different design compared to the other ones, and was older, much older. She the other 3 are like, kids, like, kindergarten, first grade.
Yeah,
Bliss
second
is
grade at
almost
the
teenage. Bliss is
yeah,
almost
she's supposed to be
teenage.
like 13, 14,
Mm-hmm.
and she's black,
Mm-hmm.
which is what ticked off a lot of Powerpuff Girl fans. And it's like, okay,
Mhm.
Well, that's the thing. It's like it's like someone were pissed off because she was black, and then other ones were pissed off because of her powers. Her powers were unstable.
yeah.
That was one of the reasons why she left. Unlike how the other 3 girls, it's like their powers were stable. They're pretty much discovering everything as they were growing up. She has an unstable power set, which means that she uses her power, can only use her power so much before she has to, like, let all of it out at one given shot before she could reuse them again.
Yeah. It makes her something of a danger to herself and others, if
To
I remember
others. That was her original story. They rewrote that for the newer series of Powerpuff Girls because she eventually went into space. And while she's in space, she actually learned how to control her powers now.
Ooh. So she just had to get out and get some breathing room in a non-oxygenated area.
Yeah, probably so. I don't know. That's just like I said, I try not to read too in depth into children's cartoons like most other people do. But that's why there was a lot of hate with Bliss originally. And this is a character that we need. The girls actually need somebody other than Bellum to kind of guide them.
Yeah. But sometimes folks aren't looking at things, we have learned that there are a lot of things that folks don't necessarily look at logically until their decisions get up and start biting them in the butt. And then it's like, oh, but wait, no, that's not why it's like, sorry, that's the consequence of what you did. You should have given it some more thought, but that's I'm gonna say on that.
Knee-jerk reaction ends up making people a jerk.
Clyde, save us. You have a book, right?
Oh yeah, I got one.
Clyde's gonna save us. Clyde's gonna save us. Yeah.
Well,
Here comes Clyde.
It's I have a real love-hate relationship with Archie comics, and my review is an Archie comic this week. So I don't know. Saving might be a strong word, but
well, as long as it's not Halloween related, you'd be okay.
It is not Halloween related. Just
don't look at his chest.
Only Halloween related, but
yeah, I mean, even with the sweater, it's still Thanksgiving colors, the orange.
Right. Well, that's what I was telling Elaine that I didn't get to wear it. It was too hot in Halloween time to wear something like this because it's pretty heavy. It's a heavy sweater, and so I was like, well, I'll just wear it next year. But tonight I was looking at it hanging there. I'm like, no, it isn't Thanksgiving yet. I'm going to do one more Halloween thing, and I just love it. I think it's just very cool, and it's even got the
candy corn.
Yeah. So, but so my books this week that I haven't read all of the new books yet, but the ones I have read. So Epitaphs from the Abyss started off being, that new version of the EC comics, and it really launched well. The first couple issues were wonderful. Well, now we're up to issue number 5, and yeah, it's a quality publication, absolutely. Artwork, really cool.
Nice quality paper.
Hosts, but in this one we get 3 stories, all of which are either extremely predictable or disappointing. Yeah. And it's been kind of on that downward slide since issue 3. So I don't know that I will continue to pick it up. I really hate to see that because it launched with some big names and they did really well. And this one's got, Matt Kint is one of the writers. I know his work and it's usually pretty good, but this just none of these stories, and you can have a cover that is that cool.
Yeah.
That creepy. And then for the inside to be just generally disappointing, is it horrible? No, but the first ones were so much better. I would rate, compared to this one, the first issue was like a 8.5 or a 9, and this is more like a 7. So just a heads up.
Is it safe to say that it will receive something like this?
I'm sorry. Right. Not quite that disappointed, but kind of not a zonk from the old.
Oh no!
Let's make a deal.
Let's make a deal. Yeah. Show. It's not a zonk, but
what about a Clunk from Treasure Hunt?
yeah, but it's just a little. Yeah, it just left me sort of. I had expected, of course, maybe the next issue will be better. It may even have a come and go quality about it. I don't know, but the first ones were really good, and I'll have to decide whether I'm going to keep getting it or not. But um, an interesting preview of a launching. This is a promotional thing that my comic book shop shared with me. The season's #1 from Image. It's quirky.
Okay.
Um, you got you have the seasons are four sisters: autumn, summer, spring, and um, winter, and they are a mystery solving magical family.
Ooh, okay.
But some of them have gone missing, and they send Summer, the youngest one, a warning. The oldest sends the youngest a warning that something's afoot, and I'm not sure what it is yet. But in case we go missing, here are some clues that you need to know about. Um, it's Rick Remender is the writer, and it is it has a real quirky, kind of cool, almost a kind of, I would say, kind of a European look about it. The
Yeah.
styling, yeah, it's um,
Almost
definitely.
cinematic.
Yes, yeah, very much cinematic and some really nice layout. I like the spacing and the panel formations, and I love the coloration. I love the color uh, work on it. But and then you get some a few impressive splash pages like a carnival there.
Wow.
Yeah. So this was a fun read. I will probably be getting this just based on how well this one, how much fun this one was to explore, and the some of the questions that they brought up, some of the part of the mystery, um, proposing the mystery about it. I'm like, yeah, I want to know what happened to these magical investigators. So um, we have Geiger #8, which just keeps getting better and better. We're learning more and more about this scorched earth that he inhabits in the near future. Um, this one we actually get to visit. This one kind of reminded me of a episode of The Walking Dead, because they find a place that hasn't been touched by the scorched earth and the bombs, and of course, the people in charge of it, they're not willing to allow it to become contaminated. So it's like, we just found a place that survived the Holocaust. Of course, we can't let it stand. It's dystopian, or it's this or that. It's not that dystopian, but the outside world finds it because of Geiger and his party. Um, so leaves on a good cliff note of, or on a good cliffhanger of, okay, so you got a place that's kind of passed through this horrible time better than most of the rest of the world, only to have the worst part of the other of the savage land of the scorched earth find it. What's going to happen now to
Oh
the
no.
families and the children inside? So definitely an interesting development in the Geiger storyline. Image also launched another one of their Ghost Machine titles I've been looking forward to, called Rocketfellers.
Mm.
And this was my I think my favorite read so far this week. This is a family that is from 400 years in the past, and they have to escape because of people hunting them down. They're sort of like the witness protection program done with time travel. So they go
Okay.
400 years into the past, and they're hiding out here, and they're trying to blend into regular civilization in their, what would be considered their dark ages, trying not to uh,
Bring
let
attention to
on,
themselves.
well, yeah, not bring attention and not let on too much about future technology, or they have some future tech with them, so they have to be careful about using it. Kind of like a Fantastic Four as part of a temporal witness protection program. Yeah, that would be a
Why
way of
would the
looking at it.
Fantastic Four go into the past?
Well, I don't know. We're not
Witness
learning.
protection program. Okay.
um, we're not really sure the reason for their trip, but we're learning little bits of it. The people that are after them are serious, and have some sort of a temporal hold on things that they're trying to reverse. So they're on a mission. They pack out all the kids, and it's sort of like the Space Family Robinson in a way, a modern Space Family Robinson, where they're like, "Hey kids, we're going on a trip. Pack up." Okay, well, how long are we going to be gone? This doesn't matter. Just pack up. Oh, okay. And then about halfway through the process of jumping into a temporal opening, they're like, "We're not going on a vacation, are we? This is not a regular vacay, is it, Dad?" Actually, no.
Zap.
So yeah, it just has that sort of a flair about it. It's kind of humorous, but it also sets up a really nice feeling of danger for them.
Ooh.
It introduces them enough that you care about them, and you're like, well, they're kind of quirky and funny, especially they must be to let off some steam because they're in a really dangerous spot here. Space Ghost number
Ooh.
7.
Yay.
Oh yeah, I think every issue just gets a little bit better. This is in this case we have and each of the villains gets a fleshing out from any version we've seen before. In this case, it's the Creature King who controls animals,
Ooh.
and he would be like a Peta Nightmare. He has a mental control of animals. He elevates their thinking, and he puts the humanoids or the sentient life forms on top of the food chain on the bottom. So it has a kind of a Planet of the Apes feel. He elevates Blip's intelligence. So Blip, we actually hear Blip, his thoughts and him talking.
Ooh.
Where and the only one of the Space Ghost crew that isn't turned into more like an animal mentality is Jace, because he's the youngest and his brain isn't fully developed yet. So he can fight off the effects a little bit. So it's Blip and Jace against the bad guys for a while.
Oh,
Um,
that should be fun because Blip and Jace are best friends.
well, yeah, it was, and of course, Blip is completely conversational with him and can say, all the things that he normally doesn't get to say. Is you don't know how many times that's bugged me that you do that. Please don't do that. Um, or I care about our family, and yes, I consider them. You have went through all kinds of trials and tribulations for who? Me, a monkey. That is not part of your species, but we're family. It means so much to me to be part of this family. So there's that heart. Every issue has heart, and this one is no exception, especially if you're an animal lover. It also has one of the coolest covers, I think, of any of them so far.
I
Ooh,
like the
I have to
lighting
see if
effects on all of that.
I get a copy of that. My youngest might like that issue.
I was going
He
to see
likes
if
monkeys.
um, this is a Francesco Mattina cover, so don't know him, but I
Oh,
really like
Matina.
his work.
Okay.
But the one I picked this week is a weird entry into the Archie's modern line, because it is a superhero story, a serious superhero story featuring Archie Andrews.
What?
But it is not Pureheart the Powerful. It
Really?
is Archie is Mr.
Mr.
Justice,
Justice?
number 1 of a 4-issue miniseries.
Where is his freckles?
Oh, it's right there. They're there.
Okay. I
Across
was
his
I
nose.
wasn't as close to the screen, so I didn't
Yep,
see them.
yep.
I'm sorry.
No, he's got them, but so let's look at the artwork inside here.
So they modernized Pureheart to to Mr. Justice.
No, not really. So we start off with this big action sequence and a big impact into the ground,
Okay.
our hero, and then we go backward from there. We see the friendship between Jughead Jones and Archie Andrews when Archie gains powers. Let's see here. We see Jughead helping him adopt this new superhero identity of Mr. Justice
It would
and
make sense.
train with him.
Every superhero needs a best friend who will protect his identity.
Right. Then this is very much like, Mr. Justice's best friend, Jimmy Olsen, kind of a feel to the book. We get a very nice middle of the tale, a big splash page with all sorts of, I thought of Eric Hawkins because of the onomatopoeias here. The
Scratch,
sound effects. Yeah,
Boom.
flash,
Right.
flash, waka, waka, waka.
yes.
Hmm.
We get to see some of the other characters that we're familiar with in a masked identity.
Please tell me that's not
More of a
Reggie.
more of a
No,
teaser.
I want to see the equivalent of Captain Hero.
And then we get um, an interview with the writer and the artist, and something that I haven't seen in a while. And I liked the inclusion, and then I listened to the songs, and I mixed feelings about it too. But we got a playlist here, song
Hmm.
playlist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I haven't seen that in a while, so I kind of that gave me a jolt of fanish happiness there for a second. But um, so Archie is Mr. Justice #1 is published by Archie Comics. The cover price is $4.99. The writer is Tim Seeley. The art is by Mike Norton. Colors by Glenn Whitmore, and the letters Jack Morelli. It is rated Teen Plus. So Tim Seeley, the writer of Hack Slash and the Alternates fame, and artist Mike Norton, that he's known for Battle Pug and Revival. They launched their ambitious 4-issue miniseries this week with Archie Andrews and the Riverdale regulars in a serious superhero title. Unlike previous one-shots starring members of the Mighty Crusaders and other superheroes from the Archie Comics and Blue Ribbon lines, it's also unlike the superhero spoofery and parody of Pure Heart the Powerful. Seeley has actually kind of fused the Teens in Tights concept with a Golden Age character, but made for a new generation.
Hmm.
The original Mr. Justice was the corporeal form of ghostly Prince James of England. Murdered in the 18th century, James' spirit remained trapped in the castle foundation of his demise. In 1940, the castle was being shipped to America when a Nazi sub sank the transport vessel. This loosed the vengeful spirit wraith of Prince James, who became Mr. Justice, as related by the writer Joe Blair and artist Sam Cooper in Blue Ribbon Comics #9, which was published way back in February of 1941.
Okay.
Um,
I don't
this
remember.
well, he's a very minor, even in a pantheon of minor characters, he's B grade, maybe
Okay.
C grade. Now, his revenant origins and supernatural powers were, to my thinking, very similar to DC's The Spectre, which had premiered a year prior. In Seeley's update, Mr. Justice is just that. He's a superhero character from an old comic book. Until that is, the name is used by young Archie Andrews after seeing a copy of that comic in Buddy Jughead Jones' collection. It's part of a narrator, Jughead's account of the rise and the fall of his pal. In the same manner, Jimmy Olsen might preside over a Superman retrospective. This quirky approach to the narrative leaves many blanks to be filled in the next 3 issues. We're told that Archie gained his powers after an incident at a museum during a class trip.
I'm sorry. It just smacked me Spider Man.
I know, yes, but we don't know how that happened. We just see like one panel where he's bathed in some kind of energy, no explanation about it. We're shown events that came later after that took place and shaped the course of Archie's dual identity complications as he adopts the superhero role, but not told why Veronica and Reggie adopt their own costumed personas along the way. And in between, we're given nuggets regarding the criminal enterprises headed by businessman Hiram Lodge, eating at the soul of Riverdale, as well as an escalating class struggle therein. The brief power set presented for Archie's Mr. Justice is flight, super strength, and a degree of what seems like invulnerability, as well as an unfairness sense. So that is, think of like a spider sense that guides him into doing the right thing perpetually.
Okay.
So in short, the issue sets up the relationship between Andrews and Jones and hopscotches between scenes of reveals to be made later. There's some fun along the way, like Archie trying on the original Mr. Justice inspired Golden Age costume before adopting a more modern one, reflecting his balanced scales of justice theme. Um, what's told is told with plenty of heart. Not a lot of content, but a lot of heart. So there's also a side order of fun in an after story interview spread with the writer and artist. We have the Archie is Mr. Justice issue 1 playlist, um, and a Spotify link to it. Um, and again, like I say, it's been a minute since I have had that in a comic book, and I like that normally as an addition to show what the writers and the creators were using kind of as fueling their vision for the book. This one, the musical selections, are from Fugazi, Elton John, Bonnie Tyler, Chad Kroger, Survivor, uh, Yuko Hayashi, Depeche Mode, uh, Daft Punk, and even Queen. So, downside of this is a seriously cool superheroic song set, and it registers above the title's material itself, I think. In fact, some of those songs are from other superhero films and franchises.
Hmm.
So, with how similar and or homaged the established teen superhero tropes are in this premiere, i.e., Elaine going Spider-Man. Yes, very much. The playlist registers as standing on the shoulders of previous Titan talents twice, because yes, it has a lot of those tropes that we've seen before. And then this, which steals, like My Secret Identity is one, the theme song from the TV show. Well, that's been done. They have a Hero, which is from a Spider-Man movie.
Oh, the
So
first Spider-Man movie with Tobey
yeah,
Maguire.
yeah. So we're kind of like sniping. I would have had more respect for them if they'd have hired somebody, a small band, to do their own stuff based on the issue. I've seen that done before too, and it's always enjoyable. So I don't know. That did not set well with me. Um, the Norton art balances aptly between the fusion of, I think, teen protagonist and superhero uh, set that we get, and that helps the issue overall. His versions of the Riverdale characters are easily recognizable, and they're true to the original spirit of the Archie titles. The style and the panel pacing are straightforward, and the action scenes, I think, work quite well, and they're exciting. Um, the action is limited in this. It's a lot of exposition more than big scenes, but we get some nice splashes like that, or half page panels and things, and splashes like that one that looked good, but not enough to make it feel like they're wasting space. They filled a lot of information, or they filled a lot of scenes in this issue. Not a whole lot of information, but it's a full issue as far as a treat for the visual, at least.
Yeah.
Uh, so the jury is still out for me on how well the new Mr. Justice costume tailoring works. They got a lot of design effort into making a balanced scale of justice motif that only kind of sort of looks that way depending on how the character is positioned or standing. So, um, one definite downside, though, is the secret identity maintenance conceit. I mean, this is full on Golden Age here. Um, despite Archie not wearing a mask, a hood, a helmet, no one knows who he is. Mr. Justice. Yeah, Mr. Justice is unknown.
Okay.
So
No, they're just looking at his face and seeing, I got nothing.
right, exactly.
Looking at his face, it's like, boy, that guy sure looks a lot like Archie, but that ain't him.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
no,
So
no way that could be Archie.
yeah, since part of the original Mr. Justice origin could be on display in a museum, i.e., the little mention of how he gets his powers, Archie in the role may have vast supernatural powers, if he's actually an inheritor of Mr. Justice's abilities, at least. But the creative team doesn't share enough to get a reading on that possibility, except that Mr. Justice is he's simply a comic book character in their world. And to me, that makes a continuity connection with a real world haunted castle parts invested with vengeful wraith power seem more doubtful. So I don't know how we're going to land as far as a power set here. Overall, both in art and in the narration, Archie as Mr. Justice #1 is promising but simplistic. The creators and the company say it's a love letter to the best of Archie and the underlying good nature of that character, and that is accurate. But it's also held up as being written for fans of Invincible or Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow, and that's a Mr. Fantastic and Plastic Man level stretch. The first entry of this miniseries is much more a fine introduction to that kind of inventive and insightful superhero storytelling. But if you wanted to get tweens or younger readers something that they could work toward it with. In other words, this would be a good stepping stone up to an Alan Moore, Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow, when, the reader cuts his teeth on this sort of thing, or she cuts their teeth on this sort of thing. So the target that this creative team's aim for, I think, is laudable. Their marksmanship uncertain, judging by the first issue alone. In the interviews, Seeley admits that the concept was challenging and tricky for him to apply correctly, he thought. And you very much feel that is a honest appraisal of the struggle that he had with doing the tone of both the Archie, true to the Archies, but also not doing a parody and taking a serious stab at a superhero title. So taking up a challenge instead of picking an easier route, which he could have done, that is rare in entertainment these days. And so that's why my score for Archie is Mr. Justice #1 is going to be 7 pH factor boosts, pure heart, out of 10.
Interesting.
Oh,
Very, very interesting. Because you know what my comment is going to be. Since you mentioned Mr. Fantastic and Plastic Man, you sure it's not elongated man because of the editor not knowing that they had rights to Plastic Man types.
It's I appreciate what they're trying to do. I have enjoyed the books that they put out that had like those one shots of the Crusader heroes. Most of them have been very good, like the Fox. That was a wonderful, wonderful read. So, they didn't want to do that again. Okay. But they wanted to include something that fits in with their pantheon of superheroes. Okay. So they adapt it into an Archie superhero form. That's at least creative and trying something different. I will give them some kudos for that. Unfortunately, if they had put it out as a YA title, it's teen plus. I'm like, I don't know. To me, this would be like tween or there's nothing in it that I don't think a younger set wouldn't be okay for them. Maybe as the series goes on, they will have some things like that, but darker themes. But this seems to me the sort of thing that a later adolescent could appreciate and then graduate up to something more like Invincible and something more serious and a bit more well done, and not owing to, I did get a real feeling of the Jimmy Olsen and the Spider-Man backgrounds to both of these, the handling of this. So there
we'll
you
have
are.
to just wait and see, I guess.
I don't know whether I'll probably pick up issue 2 just to see where we go from there. But the whole approach of showing, it starts off how the death of a hero. And then all these things, just showing you little images of things that happened along the way. And now next issue, I guess we get all the fill in the blanks, was just also, since we don't know the power set, if he's Mr. Justice, if he's supernatural and he is a spirit of vengeance or wraith, just because he's dead doesn't mean anything. But we don't know enough about it to
Yeah,
get a feel for it yet. So,
But
especially
wouldn't that
within the
make him
context of
Spectre
that
in a
world.
way? Wouldn't that
I
make
could-
Archie kind of like I can't even think of his name. The first, if I could say, kind of like guardian of the Spectre. I can't think of his name. The Conscience,
I was
his
thinking
so-called
more like
noble conscience.
it was making me think in a way of Dr. Fate.
It made me think of Spectre.
Okay.
I think that, to me, Mr. Justice, with wide-ranging supernatural abilities, was their attempt, was the Blue Ribbon attempt to make a Spectre like character. I mean, he even he even looks a lot of white and everything. He even has that look about him. So yeah, and uh, the little synopsis they got, he doesn't even have Mr. Justice doesn't even have his own wiki entry, unlike the Shield and others that were part of that line. So what little I got was like, oh yeah, he's like massively supernaturally powered. Okay, well that's definitely the Spectre. So I don't know. But
I mean, I don't expect him to be putting criminals in meat grinders, but
yeah,
yeah, then again,
I will explain the
we
Teen
might have
Plus
we might
rating,
have
but
an Archie book that would probably do something like that. I
Oh
don't know.
no.
I don't know. I mean, I don't get any indicator from this first issue that you're going to have, except that they mentioned that the hero is, deceased, and this is all Jughead remembering the thing.
Oh, okay. So
That's, but
in other words, Archie dies and Jughead is remembering how it got to
yeah,
that point.
that's what he says at least. But again, since we don't know the power set, we don't know if that's
So
accurate or not
Jughead is
accurate.
definitely an unreliable narrator, at least in regards to the beginning of the story.
There's not enough
Well,
information
we
to
don't
know whether he
know.
is or not. Yeah.
Mhm.
He's portrayed. They do a nice job of making Jughead the kind of guy you want on your team. Your backup, your background guy to lead you and help you train and all that. He's a really good helper, um, and he doesn't take a lot of crap from other people. He definitely puts
That's
him in
more
their place.
modern Jughead.
Assertive, yeah, assertive modern Jughead. So, but also Jughead who's quite aware of his limitations. Um, so it does have a maturity in the storytelling that way over happy-go-lucky kind of Archies, but I don't know. It's I'm not really sure. I will probably pick up the next issue just to see where it goes, but yeah, I'm curious to know his power set because that's pretty vague too. It almost sounds like Pure Heart, it's like, oh, I can fly. Oh, or let's see, Pure Heart had the rockets, but he doesn't need rockets. He can fly on his own. He's hard to hurt. He's super strong. He always got I have the sense to always do the right thing. Okay.
So, like
So,
Archie Andrews becomes the greatest American hero.
except he fights better than that. I mean, from what we
Way
see, he
better.
does. Yeah, flies and fights because Jughead helped him train. Apparently, we see a
Which makes
couple
me want
panels.
Captain Hero so much in this day and age. I want them to do Jughead as Captain Hero because Jughead has that knack. It's like until you push his buttons or push him to the point to make him fight, he won't fight you. He was
Mhm.
just one of those, his
Yeah.
superhero persona was like, I'm just here just to kind of make peace. It's like I'm not trying to here to fight you. It's like I'd rather be over here eating hamburgers and everything, but just don't push my buttons. Just don't get my goat. If you get my goat, that's the end of you. And
Mhm. Yeah.
Captain Hero was just that. You had to make him angry enough to actually fight.
Right. Now they have a little, tune in next issue for, with the cover and it says, Veronica Lodge adopts her heroic identity or her masked identity. I'm not really sure if she's a hero or an anti-hero. Visionary. Hers is a pretty cool costume and everything, and I don't think that is reliant on anything that they've ever done before. I don't think there's a visionary hero in there. I could be wrong. I don't know
Shoot.
all of the red circle and blue ribbon heroes, but um, so
Why are they combining them? Because I guess the original Archie run of the heroes as Veronica, Betty, Archie, and Jughead. They all
right.
had superhero personas in the
Yeah.
books,
Yep.
but I guess
I
they're merging them. I don't know why. What's the deal with the merger all of a sudden?
And they've
I
done the
didn't
super
read them
team.
at that time.
They did they had the crossover with Super Teens and like Batman 66.
Mm-hmm.
They've done that. It's just to me they were trying to do something different. And I applaud that because like I say in entertainment today having somebody that'll take a chance to do something different and not take an easy route, not one that's already been done before, yeah, I'm all about that. This was just an uneasy fit so far, but maybe that'll change with issue 2. I don't know.
Cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Do we have any more comics?
Nope.
Well, before we end, if anybody has not watched it, Arcane League of Legends season 3. Oh, it is just that ending, that last episode will floor you. It
Okay.
will just, I don't know if you should see it, Clyde.
You're not going to straight up tell Clyde, don't watch it.
You have grandkids, you
Oh,
know.
so do
It's
you?
actually
I,
no, I don't. I have
oh, you
kids.
don't. Okay. Okay.
I
Good
have
kid. Okay.
children, but no grandchildren. But without spoiling it too much, there is a death at that final episode that I have watched black guys watching this and go, okay, it was good, but that was a little too much.
Too much. Too much. Okay.
So it will hit you, especially the way it comes about. It will hit you in the feels.
Okay.
But it is a really good
More
season.
so than Biscuit.
It's right up there with Biscuit. It is right up there with Biscuit. So yeah, it will definitely hit you in the feels. But that whole season, this whole season, if unless you haven't seen it at all, I have loved it. The last season ended with a bang. I will just put it that way. And this season, it was a catastrophic event, and this season is picking up the pieces of that. And when you see a sort of leadership in turmoil, those who are trying to keep things on an even keel and get life moving forward, and then those who, because they have their own agendas, are pushing things into a bad place in order to forward their agendas and get their goals. And if other people get hurt, killed, or whatever, well, it just sucks to be you. And then you have a lot of people caught, you have a lot of everyday folks on both sides of this argument who are just caught in, they're just caught in it. And they're just trying to figure out how not to get dead, or worse. But it's interesting to watch because you see these different individuals and factions and stuff all playing, sort of trying to, everybody wants to come out on top, but for different reasons. And in the midst of all this, there's this thing of family that is driving, whether it's a twisted sense of family or someone who's twisted trying to get untwisted. I think that's the best way to explain it without spoiling anything.
The Gordian knot family.
Yeah, it is. It is this very much this sort of Gordian knot, because when you think of the way in which all of these disparate situations and groups and interest are connected, it is like a Gordian knot.
Cool.
It is very much a Gordian knot because everything is so entangled. And for some people, it is literally like the more they try to make things better,
The worse it becomes.
through no fault of their own. And some people, it's because they really, it's it is what happens when you have a sense of justice, but something happens and that sense of justice gets clouded by grief and rage. But what I love is a lot of what happens in this show, a lot of the characters that drive it at its heart are women.
Hmm.
Jinx, Vi, Mbessa, Mel, um, Caitlin, these women. There are guys there, Jace, um, a few others, but it is the women who are the engines that drive it. And sometimes when the men show up, they kind of screw the women finally get them moving in a direction. And the guy shows up and screws everything to hell. And it's like, okay, that's an interesting. That was an interesting look, or particular types of men. Maybe that's the way it's particular types of men and people. It is people who you would have thought as knowing themselves who get lost. People you thought of who have lost themselves, find getting found,
Hmm.
and how all these things come together. But the writing is excellent. The writing is excellent. There's one hole, but the more I think about the hole, I think, okay, because of the way they did this one thing, maybe it was because what we're being shown isn't real.
Mhm.
And so
Mm.
what this person says, even though it puts kind of a hole in a narrative because of who they're saying it to and why, you get, okay, maybe that's why they said it that way. And that's how this all comes about. But it's really the machinations are interesting, and it's one of those things where yes, they took a while to get season 3 done, and this is the I think I'm trying to think. Is this the final season of Arcane that we're
Two seasons, and yes, you told me that.
season 2? Yes, it's season 2, and this is the final season. Um, but and as much as they took their time, because it was a few years since season 1, it was time well spent because they seriously thought about the story, about how these and it's like, okay, Netflix took their sweet ass time
Mm.
deciding whether or not you were gonna finish this or whatnot. But then you could tell these writers went back into the lore because it's based on League of Legends, the game. But they went into the lore and it was like they might as well have been doing Tolkien because they studied the hell out of all of this. And it shows in the writing, and the voice actors are so good. You know, there isn't a single voice actor who is phoning it in. And it is so beautiful to look at.
Hmm.
There are areas, there are fight scenes that they slow it down, and you see somebody coming at someone in a jump, and it's almost like a still,
Hmm.
and you're just going, oh.
Hmm.
It is. I'm sorry.
Pretty.
It is that good. It is. I love it, and I'm just there are 3 episodes left, and then there won't be any more, and I am not letting go of this show
Hmm.
until Netflix literally comes in my house and smashes my TV.
What?
It's
Wow.
it's just it's interesting with this series, Vox Machina. There are some series that are being done where people really care about what they're producing.
Hmm.
The Vox Machina series came about because Critical Role wanted to do a little short for their fans,
Hmm.
and then when tried to raise the money, raised way more. Amazon took notice, and unlike the Rings of Power, because they created this and they're at the heart of there are always actors from the show sitting in the writers room when it's
Hmm.
like whenever the writers have to do an episode that involves a specific actor's character, and there are Marisha Ray has written a couple of episodes, as well as Liam O'Brien. So people from this series have also done writing for this show. And they are really smart because they're doing something they've already done on the live action tabletop that they're now doing as an animated series. And while they've made some changes about how certain things were done, they haven't killed the story. It's not like Rings of Power whenever anybody tells me about something that happened in an episode and I want to just, walk to wherever this is being shot and grab that chick who plays Galadriel and shove her face into something really bad. It's like, nobody makes that much money. It's like, did you even read the books? Sir Ian McKellen is not dead. Go talk to you. I'm seriously, I just want to grab her and shake her and go, Sir Ian McKellen is not dead. Go talk to Viggo Mortensen. Somebody, please. But bitch, don't ever get in front of that character. I mean, in front of the camera saying you're that character again. It's just, obviously, it's something I feel very strongly about. I'm sorry. But that's my rant. Because I am tired. I got up early this morning. I've had no real sleep since I crawled out of bed, and I'm 63, so I need nap time.
Let's pull the pin then. Call it a night.
Call it a night. We're like, okay, you're saying, oh, watch this, and we're just up here like, okay, she's going to eventually say, night, everybody.
I like I said, it's just when something good like that comes along, the only way to keep Amazon and Netflix and these guys producing good stuff or finding the good stuff and letting us see it is if we keep they're paying attention to what we're watching and who's talking about it. So yeah, it's like if we don't, they'll keep giving us crap.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd rather be one of the voices speaking up for the stuff I think is really good than seeing people stuck with the crap.
We will own the algorithm and make it ours.
Yes. Okay.
So no more Tyson fights like what we got with Netflix.
Oh,
I did not even watch that.
I did. I was like, okay.
I was there for the jokes people were telling Levin, like, well, at least it didn't buy off homie's ear. I'm like, okay.
No, I watched it, and after that women's fight, it dawned on me. This is not really truly sanctioned boxing.
No.
There was no 10-point must system. There, all the rules that we was accustomed to for heavyweight boxing, both for women's and men's, were not there. They were fighting way shorter rounds. And then they changed the gloves on them. They changed a lot of stuff that it was like, what is this? What am I watching?
Breads and circuses.
Mm-hmm.
It's breads and circuses. And if we don't
obligations to extend it this long and script, basically it's kind of a WWE, WWF choreography thing is what it sounded like to me from everybody I heard complain about.
Yeah.
It did. It did. And then on top of that, even though the other guy won the fight, everybody knows that Tyson really won. He made $20 million just to stand there and dodge.
Hey,
that my whole thing was like, the only way this other guy will truly win if he knocks out Tyson.
And he doesn't.
And he can't. He can't. He couldn't.
He didn't pull a Sugar Ray, did he?
Mm-mm.
My favorite Sugar Ray move. It's like, hey there, here's the face. No.
He did. Tyson did at the very beginning try to come out like he usually does. That feed, jab, 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 and like just coming out there like jab, jab, jab. He was like, he started to do it and he backed off. I was like, what the?
How old is Tyson now?
He's in his 50s. He's well into his 50s.
Yeah, so he should have already retired from the game.
No, he's been keeping up, but the thing about it is that it was like one of those things that it was like how you have publicity / exhibition fights.
Mm-hmm.
It should have been that and lighthearted, not
They
hyped
were
up like it's
they
going
were
to be
hyping it
like a
like it was
knockout drag out fight.
it
Yeah.
was they were hyping it like it was going to be the fight of the century.
Hmm.
And I have heard somebody describe it as a scripted mess.
It was scripted. It was very scripted because in the first 2 rounds, when Mike hit him and when he caught him flesh, I mean, boom, boom. It's like that Tyson had to keep constantly like pull back because when he hit him hard.
So
And
he
he
was
was
pulling
feeling it.
his punches.
He was
So
feeling
this
the other guy was feeling it.
okay, so they set it up for this guy to win.
Hmm.
I will never, outside of the Olympics, I will never watch boxing again. I am tired. I need sleep and Kool-Aid.
Well,
I
we knew it was rigged. We knew it was rigged with the women's bout because this was a rematch of what had happened before. And what was her name? Moreno, or something like that. She literally beat the brakes off of her opponent, and her opponent ended up winning because they allowed her to headbutt.
wait a minute. You're not supposed to.
You're
There's
not
no
supposed to.
headbutting in
You're not supposed to
boxing.
headbutt. You're not supposed to headbutt. But
Yes.
Morano ended up getting cut because of the illegal headbutting. She took at least 4 headbutts in that bout, and one of them ended up cutting her. They thought the cut came from a punch. It's like, no, that was from constant headbutting, and she ended up getting cut. And that's
And
why I was
back
up
in
there.
the
It's like
old
that's why
days,
I knew for a fact. It's like, wait a second. If this was regular boxing, they would have thrown that out, or she would have, that's like she lost 1 point. It's like, no, they would have thrown that out. They would have stopped the fight
I
because
was about to
she
say
was fighting
they'd have called
illegal.
the match, and that would have been the end of it. So this whole thing was just, oh, okay, I am done. I'm gonna have some Kool-Aid. I'm gonna take my butt to bed. You know,
Well, you can watch it. It's out there. It's
nope,
out there. You can
uh-uh,
watch it in replay. You can
nope,
watch
nope.
it in replay in its full entire glory without watch about 5 minutes of it, then it buffer.
I know where
And
you
then you
live,
watch about
Joseph.
another 10 minutes of it, then it buffers. And then you watch another 20 minutes of it, then it buffers.
I
That's how I
know
had to watch it.
I know where you live, Joseph. Do not make me walk to your house and knock your door down and terrify you. Okay?
No, I would be like, "Hi,
Clyde is
Elaine."
Clyde will be
You would scare
getting a
everybody else. I
call.
would be like, "Hi, Elaine."
One of the
Clyde will
best
be getting a
memes.
call in the
One,
middle of the night. Shh, shh, don't talk too loud. She's in the house somewhere. Dude, you gotta call the cops. She got
No,
why didn't you
no,
call the
that's
cops?
what
They're
everybody else
calling
said. I was
me.
like, "Why did you got nice? Don't worry about it. She ain't after you."
No, one of the best memes I saw this week though was okay, everybody. This week, just to worry them, go ahead and look up on Google how to cancel your Netflix subscription. 5 or 6 times, just so everybody at Netflix gets worried.
Oh yeah, I saw that one.
Oh, you'd be surprised. That was the meme. That was the meme and the hashtag that was going on from this Tyson fight because everybody wanted to cancel Netflix after that Tyson fight.
I would agree with
And
that.
I just sit
And
back and laughing. It's like it was a joke, but Tyson's the big winner because he made $20 million off of
yeah,
just
yeah.
standing there and be like boop, 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 boop. He's like, guy get 1 or 2 good licks in. And it's like, oh my goodness, he made Tyson stagger. It's like, are you watching the same fight I'm watching?
Thanks, Bob Euchre, for that play-by-play that doesn't quite match with what I'm looking at here.
Right now, Howard Cosell is turning in his grave.
Especially after hearing Rosie Perez try to do play-by-play.
Rosie Perez?
Rosie Perez was doing commentary. It was hilarious.
It was
Okay.
funny to also see the people complaining about how Netflix wasn't working right. Like you were talking about working thing. So yeah, I knew it was going to be bad. From everybody was mad about that to start with, and their mood just went downhill the longer the evening dragged on. So
And they're going to have the nerve to broadcast Friday night football,
Ugh.
NFL Friday night football.
Ew, no.
Yeah,
Football is Monday
you're
night.
going to have buffering in
Football is
football.
Monday night. Football is Monday night. That's when football happens. Monday night. Sundays if it's a big game. But
We're about to
Monday
have
night is
Friday night because we're getting towards the end of the season and there's playoff contentions that have to be done. So there's a lot of good games that's going to happen Thursdays and Fridays now.
Are they going to be using cattle prods? No. So the game are not going to be all that great.
See, the type of football that Elaine would like is arena football, but they don't show that on television anymore.
Yes, because people get
Have
carried
you
off.
ever watched arena football? Good arena football?
No.
So you have
No.
not seen a person get tackled against the boards and
No.
almost get concussed.
Not well, does roller derby count?
Roller derby is a different animal within itself, but that's a different sport.
Well, it's
But-
kind of like football with
if they
skates,
did
and you
roll
go
the
in a
ball,
circle.
that would count.
Just imagine football played in more like a hockey rink type arena.
Ooh. Yeah, but
It's not a full football field. It's only 40 yards.
hockey isn't even hockey anymore. Now they're interested in scoring points. I remember when hockey just used to be about getting blood on the ice.
Yeah.
I remember when the Blackhawks and the Maple Leafs, or whatever that Canadian team was, they did everything but bring guns onto the ice. They hated each other. You knew it was a good game because the guys on Channel 2 News would be taught. You would see one guy scoring a goal, and then you'd see 25 guys in a pile-up trying to make the other guys eat their sticks. To me, that's hockey. Just actually, like, Scotel, please, no, take me back to the fights and it's like,
Take you back to the real days of boxing and hockey.
yeah, when
and-
half the team had to be carried off in a stretcher.
Or even worse,
and somebody was
heyday,
famous because he kept most of his teeth after the season.
or the heyday of South American or European soccer,
Oh,
when people's legs and stuff was getting cleated up and messed up, and,
Oh.
and it was just like, oh, you gonna try to slide tackle me? I'm just gonna stomp on you.
the Welsh were not to be messed with.
Mhm.
The Welsh were not to be messed with. It's so weird, two black people here talking about. Sorry.
But yeah, that was sports when we grew up. It's like, surprisingly enough, I would prefer to watch lingerie football over NFL because lingerie football is more of a contact sport than the new NFL.
I miss Joe Namath and pantyhose. I love that commercial, Joe Namath and pantyhose. That was when because the first time they aired it, all you see is this really
beautiful.
Well, there's you don't know who it is. They start from the feet and slowly move up, and then suddenly it's Joe Namath. It was like, it was like Namath has legs.
Yeah, it was like you could not tell if it was men or women's legs until you got to
shapely calves, toned, long, lovely thighs. It was like I said, it was just, and it was like it was Hanes. It was Hanes. He was wearing Hanes pantyhose, I think it was. But it was, if we could make Joe Namath, because I think the tagline would sound like, if Joe Namath can look this good in pantyhose, just think what they'll do for you. And women just went and stormed the stores. Because I want my legs to look as good as Joe Namath. Gimme.
Well, let's say good night because we're at 2 hours 30 minutes. We're not going to have a 3-hour affair.
Got it. Okay. Oh. I need a cookie and a Kool-Aid and go to bed. um, as always, good night, everybody. We love you. Thank you for being with us tonight. Whenever you see this, come see us again. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me here on YouTube. I am no longer on Twitter, and no, Blue Sky can kiss my butt. So,
Mm.
you can, if not here on YouTube or Facebook, come find me on LinkedIn, Elaine Haygood, or lenscaponline.com. Don't know if I'm going to do anything other than that because I have so much done I'm trying to get done that if I too much social media is, it's nerve-wracking. But anyway, I love you, love your faces. Y'all take care. Bye guys.
Hey, so everybody, thank you for joining us. As Elaine says, whenever you watch this, leave a like and subscribe. And for the holidays, be sure to enjoy
Oh, I
whatever your
forgot.
idea.
No comic book spectrum next week.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving.
Well, we talked about that before you got here, Joe. Yeah, there'll be no comic book spectrum next week. We're going to take off for Thanksgiving, and may your own family have a great holiday. Enjoy your, whatever makes you a feast for you. If it's tofu turkey legs, dig in. If it's the organic turnip eggnog, good luck. If it's the candy corn stuffing, more power to you. But enjoy the Macy's Day Parade and have a good Thanksgiving. Um, I'm Clyde.
No half a organic pumpkin pie.
Well, that's my Jenny will probably fix something along that line. She fixes stuff that I can have, and that includes oh pumpkin muffins with chocolate chips in it.
Okay.
It's not. It's a really, really good low cal and sugar free kind of treat for Thanksgiving. So, um, but I am Clyde Hall, an elder statesman of geekery, and you can follow me on Facebook at Clyde Hall or Radiating Positive Vibes with author Clyde Hall. Under both of those headings, we try to make a daily post that brightens your day. Um, Tomorrow we're going to have a focus on Godzilla -1. We'll talk about that. Um, Today we featured, and Joe aired it tonight again. Thank you for doing that, Joe.
Yeah.
Unification, the Star Trek tribute short film. So you know, check me out, Clyde Hall or Radiating Positive Vibes with author Clyde Hall on Facebook. You can find me on Twitter at CJ Hall 1984, and I'm on Blue Sky at captainaction.bsky.social, or you can check out my Amazon authors page right down there because um, I do comic book reviews at comicsbeat.com, aka The Beat, www.comicsbeat.com, and here on Comic Book Spectrum. But in my spare time, I'm an independent award winning author and a contributing writer at Stormgate Press. They have just announced for release in 2025 Pulp Reality number 5. That's a new pulp anthology tribute to the masked mystery vigilante tradition. My original character, the mannequin, is crime's worst nightmare, a good man who became a soldier and then found the same evils that he fought overseas waiting for him when he returned to the home front. You can also find more of my work in Stormgate Press anthologies like the Lost Adventures of Captain Hawkland, Volumes 1 and 2, and also Tim Bruckner's Major Marjorie, and The Lost Adventures of Captain Hawkland. I'm sorry, Tales, Spurs and Six Shooters, Tales of the Old West. Well, I got my stack of books mislined for my promos here, but so we got Spurs and Six Shooters, Tales of the Old West. That is an anthology of new pulp for Western theme stories, and Tim Bruckner's Major Marjorie, which is an anthology of new pulp regarding this extremely classic early sci-fi heroine of the pulp era, and Captain Hawkland Aviator Adventures Tales with Charles F. Millhouse's original character, Captain Hawkland. So those are all available right down there at Amazon, or you can go to www.stormgatepress.com to experience the best in new pulp entertainment. Now, all three of these books have something in common, and that is the cover. Because Stormgate Press, it draws in the best talent in new pulp, and that includes Jeffrey Hayes of Plasma Fire Graphics. He has won Pulp Factory Awards several years running for his illustrations, especially on the covers. And if you will reach out to him for your next project, be it books or games or other graphic enhanced work, you're going to find out why. It's because Jeffrey Hayes is easy to work with, extremely talented, and he is affordable. If you need graphics that bring people to your table on your next show, then you need Jeffrey Hayes and Plasma Fire Graphics working for you. And luckily, Joe can tell you how to make that a reality.
Yes, I can, because why? We have this nice little handy video that you could watch that highlights what Jeffrey Hayes can do for you.
You've worked hard and written a great book. Now it's time to give it a great cover. If you're an indie author or small press publisher, Plasma Fire Graphics is your source for affordable cover illustration and graphic design. Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you.
Now, since you have seen the videos, just give Jeffrey Hayes a quick little message over there at plasmafiregraphics.com or his Facebook group for Plasma Fire Graphics. As far as I'm concerned, I will be back here Saturday for another episode of From the Desk of a Small Press Publisher. And yes, there will be another Whatnot show on Whatnot at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time on this Saturday. So we're going to have that running right into our normal From the Desk of a Small Press Publisher right here at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time here. So until then, if you don't catch me on Saturday, we'll see you right here again on Thursday. No, not this Thursday, the following Thursday, because of Thanksgiving. Also, be thankful. You know, it's always good to have a thankful heart, you know, for even for the little bitty things that go right in your life. It makes you and it makes things a lot better when they're appreciated. Just be thankful, you know. Keep that in mind, whether it be, you know, for the meal that you eat, just for waking up, just to be able to do something that you enjoy. Be thankful for it. But on the other hand, unlike Brian K. Morris, I don't care if you wash your hands, but I do mean this: never, and I do mean never apologize for being awesome. We'll catch you here next week for another episode of Comic Book Spectrum. Have a good rest of your Thursday, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.